Hello, everyone. I'm Bacon Bears, and welcome to That's My Opinion. Today, we're going to be talking about day 2 of the Karen Read trial. We heard emotional testimony from close friends, family members, and a forensic expert, and they painted a complex picture of what happened the night that John O'Keefe died. Let's get into everything that happened today in court. For those of you who are just finding us, a quick recap of the trial. Karen Read is charged with second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. The prosecution alleges that after a night of drinking, Read struck her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV outside of the home of another officer, Brian Albert, and left him to die in the snow. The defense argues that John O'Keefe was actually injured inside the Albert home and that the investigation into his death was corrupted to protect others and making Karen Read the scapegoat. First up on the witness list, we had a woman named Kerry Roberts. She was a close friend of I would say Karen Read and John O'Keefe, but mostly John O'Keefe. Kerry Roberts testified about the early morning of January 29th. She actually went home that night early, so she was not a part of any of this chaos. And she was woken up at 5 a.m. by a phone call from Karen Read screaming into the phone, "Kerry, Kerry, Kerry." Kerry described how she quickly got dressed, rushed out, and met up with Karen to search for John. They eventually found O'Keefe unresponsive in the snow outside Brian Albert's house. Kerry told the jury that Karen kept repeating, "Do you think I hit him?" And Kerry reassured her, saying, "No, I don't think you hit him. Let's just find him." During cross-examination, the defense pointed out that Kerry did not initially tell investigators about Karen's frantic call mentioning John's death, only later after being re-interviewed. And this could become important in evaluating how much early chaos affected memories and statements. The other thing that they talked about was a woman named Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts have become friends over the course of this traumatic thing happening, this traumatic moment that they had in their lives. And a lot of the defense's argument was saying, were you influenced by Jen McCabe? One of the biggest things, in my opinion, was that Kerry Roberts told the grand jury that she heard Karen Read tell Jen McCabe to Google about hypothermia and essentially how long to die in the snow. And then she said on the stand here that she did not actually hear that Jen McCabe told her that, and the defense was insinuating, or I mean, it's factual, that her testimony to the grand jury was in fact false. They tried to say that maybe it was an intentional lie. Kerry said, "I didn't lie intentionally." That's up for the jury to decide. The second witness that we see is Peggy O'Keefe, and that is the mother of John O'Keefe. And I'll tell you, I was choked up. This so hard. She has lost her daughter. She has lost her son-in-law. She has lost her son. And she is now, I believe, taking care of 2 children who have also gone through this traumatic event. As a mother, my heart breaks for this woman. Peggy O'Keefe testified about the heartbreaking moment that she learned that her son was gone. She described meeting Karen Read at the hospital. According to Peggy, Karen was hysterical, repeatedly asking, "Is he dead, Peg?" And Peggy's testimony added heavy emotional weight to the day, reminding the jury of the human side of the case, not just evidence and arguments. And the defense decided not to cross-examine her, which I think, was great. Leave this woman alone. Peggy talks about her son. She talks about the children. She talks about how she moved out of her home after being there for 50 years so that she could move into where the children are. She talked about how at the hospital she was, I believe, upset that Karen was even there. And then they showed interview clips from Karen saying that she felt like they didn't want her to be there. It does not seem like Peggy O'Keefe and Karen Read had a friendly relationship at this point in time at all. And the prosecution was trying to say that to prove consciousness of guilt, that in Karen Read's interview that she did with, I believe, the ID channel or maybe 2020, but in an interview that she did, she says that I believe John's mom thinks that I did something to him. So they tried to bring that in to come into play. And we didn't find out the ruling on that interview today. Maybe we'll find that out for tomorrow. The next person they talked to is Nicholas Guarino, state police digital forensics expert. Guarino explained the work that he did extracting data from the phones of John O'Keefe, Karen Reed, and Kerry Roberts. He detailed how he built timelines based on calls, texts, app activities, and movement tracking. The key points from the phone data included the times Karen called and texted John and Kerry that night, movements that align with Karen returning to the area of Fairview Road in the early morning, and prosecutors used this testimony to start building a timeline suggesting Karen returned to the house after an argument, supporting their theory of motive and opportunity. He was not cross-examined, but he was up for being recalled to come back. So we'll see how that works out in the future. And then the next witness that we see is Daniel Whitley, which is a Canton firefighter and paramedic. Whitley testified that he helped transport Karen Reed later that morning for a psychiatric evaluation after her emotional breakdown. He described her as initially distressed and panicked, but said that when Kerry Roberts was mentioned, Karen's mood changed. Whitley said Karen became, quote, snarky and defensive, something prosecutors may try to use to imply a guilty conscience. During cross-examination, defense attorneys emphasized that Karen had just suffered a major emotional trauma, suggesting her behavior was not unusual given the circumstances. The other interesting things that we found out today were that John O'Keefe and Kerry Roberts went to junior prom together. They weren't just like casual friends, as it seems that they were like more acquaintances. Maybe they played sports together, but they went to prom together, and that the relationship might be a little bit closer than everybody thought. The other thing about Daniel Whitley, the Canton firefighter and paramedic, is that he is also neighbors to Kerry Roberts. And what it shows is the fact that all of these people are connected to each other in this small town of Canton. Again, proving that Karen Reed is an outsider and everybody else inside of Canton knows everybody else inside of Canton. So the key moments from day 3 would be Kerry Roberts' early call and Karen's desperate questioning, right? Did I hit him? And that'll likely be used by both sides, because the prosecution could use that as to, consciousness of guilt. Did I hit him? Like maybe like I did that. And then the defense could use it as, could I have hit him? Is that a possibility? So it's interesting to see how that's going to play out. The phone data is crucial. Prosecutors say it shows Karen returning to the scene, and the defense will challenge how it's interpreted. The other thing is Karen's emotional instability and emotional state after John's death, which was highlighted by the firefighter testimony. That may become a major discussion point later on. She absolutely lost it. She had been drinking all night. She might have still been drunk in the morning. I mean, everybody in this case was drinking and driving and just absolutely ridiculously drunk during this whole thing. And her emotional state was absolutely heightened. The courtroom today was an absolutely emotional one. Jurors appeared visibly moved by Peggy O'Keefe's testimony about losing her son. Karen Reed kept her composure for most of the day, but looked visibly shaken when testimony discussed John's final moments. I have to tell you, even when Peggy O'Keefe came up to the stand, I could feel a lump in my throat. Very sad. It's so sad. And what a strong woman. Even the judge had said, do you want to take a break? And she was like, nope, let's keep going. That is a strong lady. There were no major outbursts, but a solemn, respectful atmosphere in the room for the most part, I would say. Both sides are clearly aware of the high emotions involved, but the defense in particular is setting the stage to argue that confusion, grief, and panic explain Karen's behavior, not guilt. So here's what stood out for me today. Kerry Roberts' testimony will be critical. Was Karen expressing shock or guilt? Also, because her statement changed between the grand jury and this testimony that she has here, will the jury take her seriously, or will her credibility be shot? The phone data timelines are beginning to shape the technical story of that night, but they leave room open for interpretations. Emotions are completely raw. Peggy O'Keefe's testimony brought the human tragedy front and center for the jury, how this has devastated a family who has been previously devastated, This is 3 children in a row for Peggy O'Keefe, her daughter, her son-in-law, and her son. Today was not heavy on hard evidence, but it was heavy on emotions, timelines, and credibility. What do you think after today? Does Karen Reed's emotional reaction show guilt or a natural response to a traumatic event? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you everybody for watching today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to mash your face against the keyboard, do all of that stuff, and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of our daily trial updates. And if you want to dive even deeper into true crime and major court cases, check out one of the videos that are linked here or somewhere just generally around here. There's plenty more coming your way. I'm Bacon Bears, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I will see you tomorrow for day 3. See ya.